It's the Crafty Missy here. This is a tutorial about how to make yourself a quilted bag. And what you will need to make yourself a quilted bag. First of all, you need a sewing machine, naturally, to sew it. And you will also need 2 fabrics. You can use any types of fabrics you want to. I have 2 polycottons here that are really cute and go well together. You will also need fabric for the inside. Choose some nice fabric for the inside. You can use either of these fabrics if you want to, but you will just need that for the inside. And I will go through this tutorial part by part. So I will first concentrate on the outside, the outer part of the bag. And for that I will be using these 2 polycotton fabrics. The other one is like blue with pink flowers, and the other one is a pink gingham. So what you need to do is you need to cut squares from those fabrics, and the squares need to be 5 inches by 5 inches, or if you're using the metric system, they need to be 13 centimeters by 13 centimeters. And you will be putting 4 of these in a row. So that means that you need to cut 16 of each color. So 32 squares all in all. And this means that you have enough squares for the back side and for the front side. Here what I did, because I don't have a cutting board and I don't have a rotary cutter, at least yet, so I'm using this just piece of cardstock that I cut into the right size and just pinned it into the fabric. There you can see my pinholes. Pinned it to the fabric and just cut the squares. Not the easiest method, but it's the only method that I have available right now. So here are my 16 squares of the floral fabric, and then here are my 16 squares of the pink gingham. Each one of these is 5 by 5, and we're going to start this out by, first of all, cut the squares. And in the second part of this video, we are going to lay them together and do a little bit of sewing. So in the second part of making a quilted bag, I have laid out my squares like this. I have put them 4 in a row, so 1, 2, 3, 4 across, and 4 up and down. So 1, 2, 3, the 4th row is here. We'll be coming to that in a moment. But this is one side of the bag, so everything from now on you will need to do twice. So you will need to do this twice because you will need both a front side and a back side. Okay, so I've laid out my squares, and here is my top row. I have already pinned them together, and the way you do them is you take 2 squares and you put them together, right sides together. So that was the right side, and this is the wrong side that you're now seeing. So you put them like this. There's no wrong side to this fabric. It's similar on both sides, so that's why I don't need to worry about that. But this one fabric, it has a front side, the right side, and the wrong side. So this is the right side and this is the wrong side. So you would put these right sides together and then pin here. I have pinned, like you see, 3 times, and you would do this whole row like this. Pin them to each other so that this is the wrong side again, and the right side would be on this other side, which is looks like that. But these haven't been sewn yet, so that's why we're not looking at the right side right now. But that's what you need to do, row by row. Every row you need to pin them. So the next thing to do after you have pinned all your squares into rows is to sew those rows. Sew those squares together. Here I have sewn them with approximately 1/2 inch seam, leaving it there. And then I put my rows together, as you can see here. And so the next part is to do what I've already started doing here, is to pin your rows together. Simply pin them together here. And as you can see, I have pinned them so. When it comes to the seams there, I've made it so that they look into different directions. This one goes there, and the one that's behind here, oops, you can't see it, it goes the other way around, just to avoid too much extra bulk in one place. So you will do that next, and you will need to do this 3 times. Here is the first one, then here is the second one, and here is the third one. So 3 times to do that, and then you would obviously sew them with another 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, so the next step in making our quilted bag is to make sure that you have 2 identical quilted pieces. Mine look like this. Here you can see one. As you can see, it has 4 squares in both directions, both up and horizontally. What I have done is I have ironed my quilted pieces to make sure that they lay as flat as possible. I ironed them on the wrong side where my seams are, just to make sure I would get those seams down. So I have 2 pieces of this now. The first one is here on the top, and the second one is here at the bottom. Now the next step is to cut out the fabric for the inside of the bag. I have already done that for my first quilted piece here, and I am using the same fabric that I'm using for the patches, namely this blue fabric with pink flowers. What I've done is I've cut out a piece that is equal in size to my quilted piece. I'm not going to give you any measurements for that because I think it's best to measure it yourself depending on how your quilted piece is. So here is my second quilted piece. I have not yet cut out the inside fabric, but as you can see, I've laid my quilted piece on top of it and I have pinned it together with pins. And next I'm going to cut the fabric from here as carefully as I can, so that way I will get my other quilted piece ready. After that, we will begin sewing and making sure that we attach these well to each other. The next step is to prepare your quilted pieces for the sewing. So you should have 2 quilted pieces with background fabric, the same size background fabric. Make sure that you pin them together really well. So as you can see here, I've pinned here and here, and I've just pinned pretty much at every single corner and also here around the edges. This is because you're going to quilt it, you're going to attach these, so you're going to sew this. Now the way that you want to sew this is completely up to you, but I did it the easy way. I did simply around the blocks in a square shape, and there also. So I did that for every single square that you have here. And that way I now have one quilted piece ready to go, and the other side obviously looks like this. There's quite nothing there yet. So this is now one ready quilted piece. I'm going to do the other one and then we're going to continue. Okay, so let's continue making our quilt bag. Now that I have finished sewing both of my quilted pieces, I have laid them together with the quilted sides together. So I have 2 sides that have the inside fabric showing now. So as you can see, inside here is the quilted size. What I have done is I have pinned it here, but only a little less than halfway. You're gonna see why soon. So I pinned this bottom, this is the bottom. I pinned the bottom and the corners and a little way here, but not the rest of the way. I have also turned this upper edge like this. Remember, you're looking at the inside of the bag now. So this is the outside of the bag. So I have turned, actually I'm so sorry, I didn't measure this, how much this is, but in centimeters I think this would be around 2 centimeters, so maybe an inch or something. But I'm sure you can see from this video. Here is a shot of the whole bag. Maybe that will help you determine how much to turn it. And I have also pinned that. So you can see I've pinned it all through, completely and totally. I've done the very same thing on the other side. So I have also turned this edge to this side and pinned it all the way around. Next, we are going to sew this edge here, and then we will return to making our bag. Okay, so let's continue. Now I have, as you can see, sewn this flap here. I have sewn this straight stitch close to the edge here, and I have backstitched, do that on both ends, and then I have done a zigzag stitch here close to the edge. This is to prevent the fabric from fraying, and if you have a serger, I suggest you serge it, because that's, in my opinion, that's better than a zigzag, but I don't have a serger, so I just use the zigzag. And I have now done both sides. And one thing that I actually forgot to do myself, but I suggest that you do it. When you're doing the zigzagging there, and obviously this works only if you're zigzagging, not if you're serging. But if you're zigzagging, I suggest that you zigzag this flap here onto this fabric. It will show on this side here, so make sure it is straight, but I think it would look really cute here, a little zigzag line, and also then you wouldn't have this flap here. I wish I had done that, but I forgot to do that. Doesn't really matter, doesn't bother me, and it won't prevent using this bag or anything, but I think it would be nice to do that. So I suggest that you do that. Okay, so after you have done this edge here, it's time to continue sewing the back together. So now I'm going to sew here both these seams here, and also the bottom. This is the bottom. I'm also going to sew that. So I'm going to sew around three seams here, like that. I'm going to sew it with this very same straight stitch that you can see there. After that, I'm going to cut away any of this extra fraying bits so that it's very, very clean. And then I'm going to do another zigzagging all around these edges, simply to prevent them from fraying inside my bag when I'm using it. And obviously, if you have a serger, you would serge that. Okay, so I'll do that, and then we will continue making the bag. Okay, so now I have finished zigzagging my edges and stitching these sides close. So I basically have this part of my bag ready, but I'm not going to turn it to the right side yet because I need to make the handles. So I'm putting that away. And in order to make the handles, you will need 2 pieces of fabric that are 22 inch by 3.5 inch in size, and you will need 2 of these. In the metric system, this is 56 centimeters by 9 centimeters. So there is one of mine. And the way to do this is the right side that you're looking at. The wrong side is over there. Put it so that it's, the right side is facing up. Then you will simply turn it in half. Bit hard to do this now that I'm holding the camera, but hey, who cares? I'm going to put this down for a moment. Sorry about my finger there blocking it. I'm just turning this so that you can see. There we go. So now I just turned it in half. This the right side, this is the wrong side. And then you will stitch a straight seam here, all the length, leaving 1/2 inch or 1 centimeter of seam allowance there. Leave these ends open yet, and I will soon show you how we are going to do that, what we are going to do with those. Okay, so now I have sewn this, it's like a tube. I have sewn it together now, and I left the ends open, and I have attached a safety pin here. I haven't attached it to both layers. As you can see, I have only attached it on this side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this now to the right side with the help of this safety pin. Make sure that the end of the safety pin, you put it in there, inside the tube, and then you start sliding it in there. Just slide it in there. And after you've slidden it a while, you can pull these creases that you're getting. You can pull them away from yourself carefully. So that will start turning this tube. Since it's a pretty long tube, you probably have to work for a while to get it all turned over. But this is the way you will do it. You will turn it, and after you have finished turning it, after I have finished turning it, I will come back and we will continue. Now I have turned both of my handles to the right side, and as you can see, I used both fabrics as a handle, one on the other side and the other on the other side. So I have two different colored handles. I pressed these with an iron to make them really nice and flat, so they are easier to handle. Then I calculated about 6 inches or 15 centimeters from the edge, and I pinned the ends of these handles there with 2 pins, and I did the same thing on both sides. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sew these, and I'm going to sew these in a little square like that, and then I'm just going to put a little cross there too. So, coming back soon after I have done that. Congrats, you have now finished your bag. This is how they look, you know, when you sew them, the handles. You just sew first a rectangle, and then you just make a cross across that rectangle. There is one more extra step that you can do, and this is for the bottom. I'm going to put the camera down. I've already done it on the other part, and I'm going to show you how to do this. This gives you a nice bottom for the bag. It will have like a wider bottom. So find the bottom corner. Here is mine. And what you will do is you will pull these fabrics apart like this. See what I'm doing here? You will pull them apart so that you create this triangle. So once more, here is your corner. Turn it toward yourself like this and pull the different fabrics, the 2 fabrics or the 2 sides apart, so you get like a little triangle like this. So I've already done this on my other side. Let me just put that in order here. So like I said, this is a completely extra step. Doesn't have to be done. But if you want to, I'm sorry, I have to take this off the frame now. In order, yeah. Okay, so I have done it here. There we go. And what I have done is, like I said, I have pulled the fabrics apart, made sure that the seams line up. You can feel it with your fingers, that they are at the same spot. I've attached it with a couple of pins, and I've drawn a little chalk line here. This chalk line is about 2 inches from the tip there, or 5 centimeters if you're there, if you're in the metric system, sorry. So what you will do next, you will sew a straight line across that, right there. Just sew a straight line. I'll do that and I'll show you that in a minute. So if you do this sewing the corner, it will give you just a mitered corner like this. Kind of makes the bottom of the bag look a little bit roomier. But here is the bag. Let me take my camera. Here is the bag, and now everything is ready. We've got 2 cute handles, and it's just a lovely cute little baggie. It's really easy to make. It doesn't have any complicated things in it, and it looks super, super cute. So yeah, if you want to make yourself a nice quilted bag, go ahead and do so. And if you have any questions, please leave me a comment or send me a message. I hope that all the instructions were easy to follow. Thanks so much for watching. Please comment, rate and subscribe. Bye!